Hi everyone, it's Susan. Today I wanted to show you the new Bloom with Grace Cricut collection that Close to My Heart came out with. So first, if you don't own it already, you'd need to own it to do these projects. So to get it, you would just go to my shopping site. It's susanscraps.closetomyheart.com. And once you're on the site, you would just scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see the little Cricut icon. And if you click on that, it'll bring you right to Cricut's website, and that's where you can find all the collections. So the two new ones in the catalog are this Bloom with Grace and Comfort and Joy. So it's $9.99 to purchase it. And we'll click on it and quick show you what we're going to do today. So this is the Bloom with Grace collection. So today we're going to put together this scrapbooking layout and then these two cards, this one that says Shine and then the one with the sunflowers. And then if you purchase the collection, you'll also get this cute pumpkin and then this the boot with the sunflower and then this sunflower with the antlers and a couple other, this Bloom with Grace saying. So let's go over to Design Space. So I'm going to start a new project. And I'm going to go over to Images. And I'm going to click on Image Sets so I can first find the collection I want to work with. And so this is going to bring up all the different, it's sort of like your collections or cartridges that you've purchased. And right by the top is the Bloom with Grace. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm just going to highlight the ones that we want to use. So we're going to use the Shine, the 3 sunflowers on this card, and then the scrapbooking layout. And when you select it, you'll see it's sort of highlighted in green around it. That's how you know that you selected it. And down here it shows everything that you've selected that's going to be inserted into your project. So we're going to hit Insert Images. Wait for these to pop up. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so we can see it, put them one on top of each other. So when they come into your project, these are all sort of pre-made layouts and cards, so they're all like grouped together right now, so you can easily move everything. So you can see we're going to get the card. There's a card base and an envelope that gets cut with these. And then this is the layout. Everything's already sized and ready to go for a 12 by 12 layout on this. The one thing I do want to do is the white here for where the photos would go. I'm just going to hide those. Over on the right hand side, I'm just going to find the white rectangles and hide them. Because I'm just going to put photos eventually there, and I don't need these white squares to get cut out and waste more white daisy paper. Or actually, I think, yeah, those are white. So the one thing I really like when Close to My Heart puts these together is that the colors that they put the images into Design Space reflect a lot of their actual cardstock colors. So if we go to Color Sync, you can sort of get an idea of the different colors that are used. So this one, it's designed to go with the Bloom with Grace, so you can always look at the Bloom with Grace paper pack to see what colors are meant to coordinate with that. But they have French Vanilla, Sangria, Desert Rose, Espresso, Toffee, Canary, and Fern, I believe. And then you have to pick one other green to just sort of go with it to make these cards and layouts. So I'm going to work on, let's see, we're going to hit Make It. And I think I wanted to quick show you a couple things on this. First, on the Toffee, I think I can get these circles to fit on the other mat. So to do that, I'll quick show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to select one, and on this 3 dots here, I'm just going to click on that and say Move Object. And I'm going to select this other mat with that same paper color. Confirm, and then it's going to throw it up here. I'm just going to drag it. Oops. Excellent. Grab the fence. Drag the circle to a spot where it fits. Put that fence back. So I'm going to do that with all the other circles and just fill in right here with them. And then I can get everything on one sheet of paper and not have to use two up for my stash. The other sheet I just want to point out is this one with the envelope. It shows it on a 12 by 24 mat. Now I have a 12 by 24 mat, but the paper I have is only 12 by 12. So what I can do though is this envelope, if you rotate it, will still fit on the mat. Let's see, I think I rotated it like this and just move it up a little bit, and you can see that now I'm well under the 12 inches. So I'm just going to put on my larger mat 2 sheets of canary just right next to each other. So I just shifted these down a little bit just to make sure that I don't have any issues of it trying to cut right where I have a seam between 2 pieces of paper. And then you can just say okay here that I know that one of these has this larger mat. And then once I'm going to finish moving these circles over, and then I'm going to be ready to cut. And then once I cut everything, I'll come back and work on assembling everything with you. Now that we have everything cut with the Cricut, we're going to go through and get everything assembled. I thought I would assemble it actually with you guys so that you can sort of see how it all goes together. So I sort of organized everything into piles. There's the 2 cards and then the scrapbook layout. So we will start with this card first, the Shine card. And set this other stuff to the side. So for this, they had envelopes. So I already sort of started to pre-fold them, but we'll get those, fold them one more time. Really nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape along this edge. And that's my envelope. And then once I have my card in there, I would just do the same thing as just tape the edge of this and then fold it down, and this tape is pretty strong, so it won't come apart. So that's the envelope. And this one is pretty simple. You just got to make sure there's a tiny little dot for the eye when you're cutting it. So you got to make sure you get that. And then this one, I don't know why. So if I was to make this again, they have the card base cut out of the color. You could eliminate that and just use a white card base if you wanted, because they also have cutting out this piece for a card. So you can use like one or the other. Since I have this cut out, I'm just gonna set this to the side and save it for another project. We don't really need both. And then for this one, I gotta see where this is sort of meant to be like a ribbon. It looks like this goes on top of the white. So we're gonna adhere this yellow piece down first. So put some adhesive on it. This is why I thought I'd help show everybody how it all goes together. I usually bring up the Cricut design space on my computer, and I have it next to me when I'm assembling everything, just so I can sort of look at the picture. We're going to adhere that, and then the shine's going to go on next. I am going to use some liquid glue on the lettering to make sure it sticks down good. So I like to use the Tombow liquid glue. I'm just going to brush that on the letters. You just really need a really thin amount. You don't need very much. And we're going to put that on. Lines up right over the yellow. And then I'm going to put a little dot right where I want the top of the eye. And then try and grab that piece. And I'm just going to throw it right on top of that. It's a little easier to get it right where you want it if you put the glue there and then put the dot on. And then they just had this going across here, and it's the lighter side. I'm going to use the glue for this because it's a little thin. And then this goes right over that. So we'll use the glue on this part too. And that is the first card that says shine. So that was pretty simple, super easy, and then you can make it over and over again. So it looks like the envelope they made so that it'll keep these little, it has a little tab on the ends here for that to make it look like a ribbon. So that is that card and envelope. Shine. So moving on to the next one. Had the sunflowers. So again, I had already sort of pre-bent some of these. Make sure we crease them really good. Adhesive on, and then when I get my card in there, then I can put adhesive on the top part, just like you were looking at an envelope. And again, for this one, if I was to cut it again, I would eliminate probably the card part and just use this and then put it on a white card base. Like I'm saving the cardstock, but I'm going to set this aside and save it for another project. And just use this. So the first thing we're gonna put on is this green piece, and I guess I can pick, it looks like it's meant to be the lighter side because I tore a little bit when I took it off the Cricut. Adhere that, and then I'm gonna assemble these sunflowers. So these, there's like a lighter yellow and a darker yellow, and they just offset each other, and actually they have the lighter on top of the darker. So I'm just gonna put some glue in the center of the darker one and put the lighter one on top. And then these, they had the espresso piece go on top of the toffee. And then that goes in the center. And I just put some glue like in the center, but not all the way in the edges. I mean, if you wanted, you could actually like curl up the leaves a little bit. I'm just going to do it with my fingers a little bit, just to give it a little bit of dimension. So we'll do the next one. So the dark one on the bottom, the lighter one on top. And you could like curl the leaves before gluing it if you wanted. I just do it after. And then the espresso on top of the lighter toffee colored. And then that's going to go in the center. Create this sunflower. I'm also going to curl our leaves a little bit, our petals. And do a great job centering that sunflower, but it'll work. And again, this dark one, the lighter one on top. Try to do a better job centering it. And then the espresso. And on these little pieces, sometimes it's helpful to make sure you get some glue here so that the edges don't pick up once you glue it down. That's what I like about, you could use liquid glass would also work, but I like just the small tip of the Tombow works well for me, and I'd use it all the time for Cricut cuts and putting them together. And we'll curl these leaves, petals a little bit. All I'm doing is just pulling up a little bit and putting my fingernail down it. Curl them up a little bit. And then we just need to figure out sort of how we want to arrange it. So they just sort of had sunflowers on the card. These are the stems. So sort of put that one, it looks like, in the center. And then I think this one sort of goes like that. You can really put these however you want to arrange them. There's no right or wrong way. I'm just guessing. You could turn layers on and off on the Cricut to actually see how they put the stems on, like turn the layers for the flowers off, and then you could see how they did it. I mean, that's the one nice thing on the Cricut is you can take layers on and off and sort of see how things go together. We're just going to do it however we want. Oops. Before I put the last one in, I'm going to just I have these leaves. I might do it with the darker side just to give a little variation from the stems. Sort of tuck those in. So the nice thing about the Close to My Heart paper is it has two shades, like a lighter and a darker, so you can sort of change things up a little bit and give a little variety to what you're working on. I'm gonna quick put this bow on before we do the last one. And then they just have this little tag hanging here, and this is gonna go on right here. And you could use like foam dots too, but with how I did the leaves, it sort of gives it a lot of dimension already. And let's put this little tag on. And that is that card with the sunflowers and an envelope to go with it. So that's a really cute card too. I like the flowers. And the next is this layout. And this has a lot more to sort of assemble as far as the flowers. So I'm going to set, these are those words, the fence posts. So right now, we're just going to work on assembling these leaves and sunflowers. Set the other stuff aside. So with the leaves, I actually try and hit every part of this so that it lays down nicely. If you skip somewhere, you'll always notice it like popping up off the paper, unlike the rest of it. So I like to cover it really well with the glue. So we have a bunch of leaves. Lots of gluing on this one. So when I did all the Cricut cuts, I took notes of the papers that I used. They're already sorted by colors. And when Close to My Heart makes the cartridges, they make them, when they have the colors selected, they're very similar. Like you can sort of tell, like, oh, I think that's this color. But I did go and look, like in the catalog, or if you look at the Bloom and Grace paper on the zip strip, they always list the papers that are meant to go with that paper pack. So I took a look in the catalog at what the Bloom and Grace colors were and sort of went off of that, but I don't have a couple of the new ones. So I don't have Desert Rose. So it calls for, so I used French Vanilla for like this off-white color. I actually don't have French Vanilla, so I used the Colonial White, which was an old color. But any kind of off-white would work. And then I used a sheet of Sangria. And then it called for a sheet of Desert Rose. And I didn't have Desert Rose, so I just used Ruby, which is just got retired, since I thought it worked well with the colors that were being used. And then I used Espresso for this darker brown color. So I used a sheet of Espresso. And then I used toffee, and the toffee is what does like the fence, and it does, on this layout, it does the center for the sunflowers. And then the yellow is out of Canary, and I used both the dark and the light side. So I used 4 sheets of the Canary to do everything. And then the green color in the Bloom and Grace is Fern, and I didn't have enough of it to use. And I also needed to pick 2 green colors. So I ended up just using, for the darker one, I just used a sheet of New England Ivy, and then I used 3 sheets of Sage to do the lighter color. But I would have probably done like the Sage and Fern together if I had had Fern. But I just didn't have any sheets left. So I need to order more cardstock. There's also a new avocado green color that would have worked probably well too, but I don't have that yet either. So I need to order and restock up on cardstock. Take inventory. So those are the leaves. Now for the sunflower, there's a couple little, these doodads. For the sunflowers, we can quick do the centers. So for these, you want to do, there's like a edging to them that you want to do before you assemble the flowers. So you'll see what I mean in a minute here to get it to look right. Do this center. So I just sort of sorted them into piles. So there should be 2 flowers that are the same size, but in like one's in the light shade and one's in the dark shade. And then I have 2 of these, and then a center for each flower. Finish up our centers. Usually the most time-consuming part about doing layouts with Cricut is the assembly of all the cuts and all the layers, but that's what makes it so neat when you're all done. There's all the layers of paper. It sort of gives it some dimension as well with having all the layers. Okay, so there's like a set of 3 sunflowers sort of connected together. And there's one large one and then like a little medium one. So what we want to do first is put this edging around each of the colors. And mine didn't pull off very good, so I might trim it up a little bit. If I can get my, just trim that extra paper off. I'm gonna get glue all the way around this. Actually, it might be easier just to go like this. So that is the light. We're going to do the same thing with the dark. And you can see these are actually like just slightly smaller than that outline. So it's actually helping to go this way. So then for these, it's the same thing as that card that we did where it's going to offset. So we're just going to put some glue in the middle. Sort of glue that together. And then this is the largest circle that goes in the center. And that is one of the sunflowers. Set that to the side. My machine didn't really cut this paper very good. Okay, so we'll do one with the lighter. Last one of this. On this one, we want the dark side. And then we have the dark on the bottom. Hear that? And then we're going to put this in the middle. Okay, so we have just the set of 3 left to do. Now this one, you're just going to make sure you have the right piece. I don't think they're interchangeable. Let's see. Yeah, so like you'll see that like this one wouldn't work. So you got to make sure you get it with the right one. So this one is meant to go with this lighter color. It looks like I need to trim it a little. I found that, and this I think is probably the case with this colonial white paper I had, but the white daisy in particular is a thicker cardstock than the rest of our paper. So I find it actually works better if I put it on a custom cardstock setting and go and have it for a little bit thicker and apply a little more pressure when I'm cutting white daisy versus our colored. Our colored cardstock cuts great on the cardstock setting with Cricut, but the white, and obviously this one, are a little bit thicker of a weight, and so doing a different setting works good. You just have to play around with it till you like it on the Cricut. But that's one thing I've sort of discovered, that I always seem to struggle when I go to cut the white if I leave it on the cardstock setting. So you'll want to adjust it. And it's just because the white daisy is actually a thicker cardstock than the rest of the colors. But otherwise, I don't have problems getting it to cut. It's also important when you're cutting to have a nice, like, sticky mat that's clean. It doesn't have like a lot of debris on it from previous times, so that the paper doesn't slide. So that's the other thing that I always tend to have issues with if I don't have a good mat. So if you're having problems cutting, make sure you have a good mat. And then if it's the white that you're having problems with, then you just need to adjust the pressure and choose, like, you would just change your dial to custom, and there's like hundreds of choices, and you can just pick a heavier weight cardstock selection. And then it should cut better. But I forgot to do that, and I didn't realize this one would need that, because I don't really remember about that every time. I should put a note on my Cricut is what I should do, so I remember. But I kept, when I cut this, I kept forgetting to put the scoring pen in when I needed to as well. So for the card bases, but at least those are easy to just score yourself. It didn't matter. I at least got it for the envelopes. So, but you have to pay attention too when you're cutting on to when you need to put different tools in. Okay. These are a little fussier to get lined up. So now that we have that part, then these will actually lay perfectly on top of each other, like so. So we'll add a little bit of glue at the centers. I'll say the hardest part is doing all those little white edges to these flowers, but it does look neat once it's all done. And then we just gotta glue the centers on. And we got sunflowers. Okay. I'm gonna move everything off the mat here. So when you cut, the largest piece that gets cut is this scalloped edge part. So I grabbed, you'll need to pick a color for like the card base. I decided to go with the espresso, but you could pick any of the colors that you used from doing this layout. You can sort of see what you like best as your card or as your scrapbook base, page base. So we're going to first glue that down. And I like to use this mat, I'm going to turn it here, because it has all the guidelines on it, so I can just put this page centered, and then when I go to glue this down, I can make sure it's perfectly centered where I want it. So we're gonna put some adhesive on this. And it goes about, I don't know, it's about a 1/4 inch or so around on all sides. And then the next piece we're gonna do is the fence along the bottom. So the fence is gonna go across like that. So the fence piece is nice and wide that I can get my tape runner to go. I might actually do every fence post so it doesn't lift up on me. But you could skip this part. So they actually have this going off of that page a little bit. And I do the other page just like it. Oh, it's fresh in my mind what I need to do. There's that fence piece. And then so we'll start with the left page. That one had 2 photo mats. And they were about like this on there. And then there's 2 large leaves and 1 like medium one. And then the 2 larger sunflowers that are used in this page. So they sort of had a large leaf here, a large leaf here, and a small one. And it looks like they had the smaller sunflower there and a larger one up here, like so. And then they had a couple of these little swirlies. Going like so. So that is sort of how that page would get adhered. So I'm going to first put these down. Again, I used the ruby, but the color that was intended for this is a new color. It's Desert Rose. It's a little bit more of a muted, lighter red. It's a really pretty color for this kind of a layout, but the ruby worked as well. And then I didn't cut the white photo mat that really is the photo. So eventually I'll just put photos right on this. We're gonna adhere this leaf. I just want to make sure it fits within my page protector. Let's do that, and I'm going to glue this guy down. And then when I glued this, I'm actually just gonna probably do the center of it so that when I go to put a picture in, I can slide it underneath the leaves. So I'm just actually gonna put the adhesive in the center, or the glue in the center, and not worry about the edges on this. And then we're going to work on this little sunflower, or littler one. Actually, this I can get adhesive on. I go up as high in the corner as I can. And then glue this little guy. They have it a little more this way, but I'm just gonna keep it off of the photo mat so I don't have to worry about it. And then again, I'm just gonna do the center of this so that I can slip the photo underneath. And I could just use adhesive on this. I don't know where I'm at, but we'll glue it like the other one. And that just goes there. So that is the left page. One more page to go. Set that to the side. Here's our other page. This one has a larger photo mat here that went just above the fence post. And then there's like a tag, and then that goes behind this. And that went up here, and then the words sunshine. And this is meant to go over a little bit. So you have the words you. Oh, they have that centered. So you are my sunshine. Put that down a little bit. And then the sunflowers go along the bottom. And then we just have the leaves. Let's see. That one here. That is sort of how the sunflower lays out at the bottom. And then you are my sunshine. So I'm going to start by putting these letters on, I think. So again, I'm just going to use the liquid glue. This is a very thin piece. You have to be really careful on these pieces when you pull them off of your Cricut mat too, so you don't break it. This was a hard one. I've broken many words like this when they've been too thin. What I liked about this one though is they actually connected the I to the U so that you didn't have to worry about a little piece. I'm actually going to quick adhere this so I can put that down. I'm going to have desk space here. Get some adhesive on that. Okay. We're going to do this word. And they actually have the my slightly above, like this. So you don't necessarily need to be perfect in how these words go on. I don't tend to measure when I'm looking at pictures, like with the embellishments and words and stuff. I just sort of wing it, even if it's a workshop, so. So I've got the words glued down. I'm going to do this part next. I'm going to do this tag first. Get some adhesive on it. And the photo mat. And then I'm just going to lift the flowers off right now and just sort of glue down these petals where I had them about. Or actually I can just use adhesive. They're not too small. just have this little piece to glue. And then we just got to put this down and we will be done. So I'm going to use some just adhesive on these. That'll be easier than gluing it. And there we go. So the two pages together, if you can see them both, hopefully. You Are My Sunshine. That turned out really cute. Now I just need to find some pictures to put on them. So that was the layout. I'm actually gonna put it like this. We made this cute card with that Cricut collection, and then in the envelope, and then the shine card. So that is the Bloom with Grace Cricut collection. We used most of the images, but there still were a couple more as well on there. So again, if you want to get these Cricut cartridge or this Cricut collection, you just go to my website. It's www.susanscraps.ctmh.com, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a little green Cricut icon. If you click on that, it'll bring you to Cricut's website, and you can purchase the Bloom with Grace collection and also the Comfort and Joy collection, which I will be working on next. I will see y'all next time. Bye.